happy. That's all I did. I hate you.
Holy shit, Danny.
Hey.
Nope. There you go. You were muted for yeah.
Oh my God. Hi. Hey. Hello. Welcome to a Market Down production. My name is Skibbo. I am joined by Jasant, and we're here to talk about Monday Night Raw, which, holy shit, emphasis on the whole, Nia Jax is back. Sorry for the spoilers. It's not really my style, but some of us are desperate, so we're going with spoilers. But Nia Jax has returned to Monday Night Raw, and she interfered in the main event, which was a women's title match between Rhea Ripley and Raquel Rodriguez, where Dominic Dirty Dom himself was barred from ringside. Not the other two members of Judgment Day who could have came out, or the other guy trying to get into Judgment Day. You know, they weren't banned from ringside, but that did somehow stop them as well. But this match, it was a hard-hitting affair between Rhea and Raquel. It was pretty fast-paced, a little bit faster-paced than their pay-per-view match. But towards the end, out of nowhere, Nia Jax came from, I guess, off-camera and laid out Raquel Rodriguez, allowing Rhea Ripley to pick up an easy win at the end. It was a hard-fought match up until that point. And then after the match, she laid out Rhea Ripley as well and pretty much just dropped herself right into the middle of the title picture. A huge return for the women's division.
Is it?
It is. And, you know, I find myself in a weird position where I am going to bat for someone who I really don't even like that much. But Nia Jax is a big deal. Nia Jax is somewhat of a star. She elicits a reaction. And she's a credible opponent for Rhea to beat. So I am actually for this. I am not against this. I do not particularly care for Nia Jax as a person. I don't know Nia Jax, so, you know.
She's friends with Mojo Rawley. I feel like that tells us everything we need to know.
What did Mojo ever do to you? Mojo's a worse character than he is person, I assume.
I guess that's fair. I just feel like it would be a lot to hang around, you know? I feel like I'd be exhausted.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But that doesn't make him a bad person. That just makes him a lot.
Sup, Nas. Also, sup, Dev.
Like, Nia Jax is, like, not a great wrestler. She's not a great promo. Yeah, honestly, genuinely, Nia Jax really isn't a great anything. But she has so much value despite that. So I'll never take that away from her. And she's had her fair share of entertaining moments that despite maybe disagreeing with her as a person on things, we can't take those away from her. And, you know, I'd say that I wasn't one of those people complaining about Rhea's title reign. I think Rhea has been great, and I like that she has no competition because it just makes her seem even more badass and dominant. So when she inevitably fights Becky, which I guess will be at fucking Mania at this rate, that'll be a huge deal. So I've had no problem because I don't want to pretend that Natalia's competition. I don't want to pretend that whoever else she's fought is competition. Even Raquel's not there yet on the main roster, which is so weird because she was there on NXT. Anyway, that never mattered. Raquel's like the third most important part of this, honestly. Fourth if you consider Dom, who wasn't even there.
Fifth if you include JD.
No, she's above JD. He is such Lord Farquaad is a huge afterthought in all of this. But I'm all for Nia being there to put over Ripley and just be a big, credible opponent for Rhea to hit a crazy Riptide on. So I guess I could tell you're not as optimistic about it as maybe I am. So I guess you don't think this was a hole in one per se.
Holy moly! I wasn't prepared for this, nor was I
Holy
expecting
guac.
it. You know, I'm here, and you elevate it here. I used to be a gigantic Nia apologist. I used to defend her. I used to root for her, and I am 100% willing to overlook all of her personal life choices. That's fine. That's not where I have an issue with her. My issue with her is she just kept getting worse. She never improved, in my opinion. Maybe she started to get better with certain character work. I'm willing to concede that a little bit. But overall, she suffered the same fate, but was way more successful with it as Dana Brooke. They were people who got called up to the main roster way before they should have. And I understand why they brought Nia up as fast as they did. She's a different type of female superstar. She's an imposing figure, but she just it became clear through her work and her work only. It felt she was getting lazier and lazier, and none of what she was doing was shining. She was getting more and more notoriety for the mistakes she was making, the people she was injuring, like Kyrie or Becky. And granted, in the case of Becky, it ended up benefiting Becky in the long run because we have that iconic image of her just bloody and all that leading up to Survivor Series. But those are the things that Nia became more famous for, unfortunately. And everybody, like, look, if I'm going to condemn a Nia Jax for that, like, I don't want you to think, look, everybody has shit. I don't burn Ridge Holland for all the people he's hurt, including himself. But Nia seemed to revel in it. Her lack of accountability, her lack of credibility when it came to owning up to these mistakes, she tended to laugh it off. So I'm just at this point I'm way over Nia. I'm glad that this division, this roster is getting a shot in the arm, and it's going to be, she's not going to play a bit part. She's going to be there for everything. So I'm glad Rhea's going to have, as Nas said, I'm glad Rhea has someone else to beat up, but put her in a tag team with Tamina and put her in a division I don't care about.
Wow. You don't care about the women's division? Wow.
Women's tag division.
Wow. No, look, I understand that. I don't want to defend Nia either. But we don't know. She probably did apologize to these people, but then when you're receiving like death threats and shit online and so much harassment for this shit, you might not handle it well either. It's understandable. And again, I disagree with so much of what Nia just says publicly.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to give it a chance just because it's somehow different, even though it's really not. It's just someone returning. And I think it's going to end up like a Braun situation where Braun was rubbing people the wrong way and was not overstaying his welcome, but he was rubbing people the wrong way. And then, what happened to him. And then he came back and he kind of got humbled with his tag team with Ricochet, and then he just started having fun. And then him and Ricochet became a pretty good tag team, honestly, together. So yeah, we could see something like that with Nia. Maybe she takes, it would have been nice if they could have had Nia be Chelsea's new tag team champion partner.
Yeah.
That would have been really funny. Piper Niven deserves a chance, so don't get me wrong, that's good and all, but
yeah,
I think Nia really would have elevated it just because of the credibility that she has, just by being there. But shit, what else? I totally lost my train of thought. But anyway, also I want to say, I don't want to be that guy, but like Charlotte hurt Kyrie too, you know, and they got mad at
for
her
sure.
for it.
For sure,
Yeah.
for sure. But Nia actually injured Kyrie twice.
Yeah, but you know, she didn't get mad at Kyrie for it, as far as we can tell, anyway.
I guess that's fair.
But
you know what? You're right. Charlotte sucks too. Let's just put that out there. Charlotte sucks too. Let's get rid of her also.
And you know what? I think my little bit of respect for Nia comes from the terrible match her and Charlotte had, where they just started like slapping each other.
Somebody needed to whack Charlotte in the face. Is what you're saying.
So if Nia's going to be that person, so be it. We accept you, Nia. Welcome back. In that case,
but there's a lot of caveats, Nia. A lot of caveats.
Yeah, I'm just not worried about it. I can't see this going too badly, because I think she'll just be gone after a little bit. Like, I don't think she'll be here like 3 years from now, honestly.
Interesting.
But
time will tell.
Not necessarily in a bad way. Maybe she just wants to step away. But so yeah, it looks like we have our next title program. Maybe this starts as a triple threat, and then we get a triple threat at the October show. I forget which one it is.
It's funny that you talk about a title triple threat, because I think another program on the card is actually leading me to think we're going to get another triple threat for a championship.
But that one's lame, and it should just be a singles match. But we'll get to that.
Nas, that is the rumor that Kyrie is coming back sooner than later.
There we got our WrestleMania match. There we go. Kyrie versus Nia. What can go wrong? Fastlane. Why is Fastlane in October? The Fastlane to what? What? It doesn't make any sense. That's silly. Anyway, it's like when Roadblock End of the Line was like, in December. It's like, I guess if you're going by the yearly calendar, sure.
That has no impact on wrestling whatsoever.
Yeah. But I think we get a triple threat, and then we have a Nia Rhea 1-on-1, or maybe Nia just beats Raquel and then puts over Rhea, and then re-enters a feud with Raquel, or enters a feud with Becky, or enters a feud with Kyrie. There are things you can do with Nia, and that's the point. That's why I'm not excited to see Nia Jax, but there's at least stuff there, and she'll get TV time. And getting the women's division on TV is not necessarily a bad thing. She has the ability to make it a bad thing, but I'm not too worried about it. You know, I trust Endeavor. They have such a great track record of nothing so far.
Should we address it now that this is it?
Yeah, sure. I don't know if you guys could tell, but this was the last episode of Raw under the Vince McMahon ownership, because the Endeavor deal will have officially gone through, I believe, tomorrow.
Yep.
And that'll be that. WWE will be owned by Endeavor. Them and UFC will be brothers, which they've always been, by the way. They've always been brothers. Just UFC was a jealous younger bitch brother who was upset at how popular the older brother was for a while. And then, as the older brother got a little too old, the younger brother became the popular one. Now they're both relatively tame in terms of popularity, but, they can actually support each other like brothers now, I guess. That being said, I don't want any of these gross-ass UFC fighters in WWE. Sorry, guys, you're boring. I don't like watching you grapple. I understand people do. That's fine. Not into it. You guys offer nothing to WWE. Unless you're like, Conor McGregor, Brock Lesnar. Unless you're of that ilk, where you're bigger than UFC.
R.I.P. Ronda.
Yeah, just let that be a warning to you when you want to come over. Actually, like Cain Velasquez be a warning to you when you think about jumping ship.
You know what's crazy? Cain worked some indie, he worked some stuff down in Mexico, and he was actually great. Like, he was working a lucha style. He was wrestling in a mask, jumping around, doing crazy shit, and people were really into it. And then they had him come to WWE to do the UFC style fight with Brock. And
it was one of the worst things I've ever seen.
Awful.
Goddamn awful. But yeah, that deal is done. So this was the final Raw. It didn't feel like a finale in that sort of way, but it was a very a good show in my opinion.
Were you expecting Vince? I was kind of expecting Vince.
No, he knows to lay low. He's not that dumb. Well, that's not. How could I possibly fucking say that after he came out Raw and SmackDown after these accusations resurfaced? But since then, no, because that's almost admitting that he's not going to own it anymore, and I don't think he can do that. So you missed the whole show. That being said, it was a good show, but you didn't miss much besides the return. But also, it was a good show. It wasn't bad, I can say. But we'll go to the top of the show, which opened up with main event Jey Uso, who's here for some reason. Still not fond of it. Exactly. Bring on the drama and chaos. That's it. There's gonna be it's just gonna be exciting, whether it's for good reasons or bad reasons, but at least we'll feel something. I'm not gonna feel something watching Natalya wrestle, so it is what it is. Yeah, I am putting this out there. Nia Jax is more valuable than Natalya, but yeah, I know that hurts, but it hurts because it's true. So main event Jey Uso opens the show, and he's there, and God, you're so quickly into things.
I was into it the night it happened. I was commenting on it the night it happened. I liked it. I think he's overdoing it now, but if the crowd's going to do it with him, he might as well ride that wave. I like it though. It feels like a cool thing to get the crowd into.
Sure. So Jay comes out and he says, whatever, but he's interestingly interrupted. Oh my God, thank you, Jay. The song is so bad. That is the worst remix I've ever fucking heard. It's a lie, bro. You can't say just me who's day one-ish. No, what? It's never been just you. The song is a lie. You're living a lie, sir, and it's bad. Just keep the original song. Oh God. Anyway. Thank you, Jay. I agree with you wholeheartedly. But he's interrupted by Kevin Owens, which is why things get interesting. That's where all my gripes with Jay are, at least I try to temper them, because it's going to lead to interesting things and interesting interactions, with Kevin Owens, who came out and said, bro, fuck you, but not fuck you the way everyone else is like, fuck you, but still a little bit fuck you. He's like, I know what you're going through. I've had everyone in the locker room hate me before. I know what it's like to be on my own and not have anyone to turn to. He's like, and besides Sammy and Cody, you have no one here that likes you. He's like, he's been pretty much saying, I'm on the fence about it, and no one else here wants you here. So why are you here? And he's interrupted by the Judgment Day. Yes, Jay, the same Jay that whooped Owens for months in 2 separate years of the long bloodline BS.
See, but you know what? That doesn't count, because Kevin and Sammy literally have a chant, fight forever. So Owens doesn't care about stuff like that. He's very quick to forgive. Except if you're Shane McMahon. But other than that, he's pretty cool.
No, Kevin Owens' whole thing is he remembers shit. That's his whole thing.
No, I'm not saying it's that he just, that didn't happen, I don't remember it. But he's just like, you know what? We fought. I see a change. I'm on the fence about it. I'll see. But like he said,
he was all buddies with Elias after the whole Ezekiel thing. Yeah. No, he didn't hate Elias.
That's because wait, he was buddy with Elias, right? Or
he wasn't. He hated him.
Yeah. But that's just because he saw through the facade of it all. There's a difference. He remembered everything and he just hated everything. He's at least open to seeing how this goes. He hated Ezekiel. He didn't hate Jey Uso. He was mildly inconvenient. He was mildly inconvenienced by Jey Uso. He hated Roman Reigns.
You were downplaying it very much.
All I'm saying is Kevin
mildly inconvenienced, majorly.
Kevin Owens won in a main event of WrestleMania. Jey Uso did not. I think bygones can be bygones.
Main event. So they're interrupted by the Judgment Day, who are trying to It is a rarity. And that's why Kevin Owens is so special, because he remembers things. He remembers that Seth Rollins tried to steal his WrestleMania match against Stone Cold. He remembers that Elias and Ezekiel are the same person. He remembers the things people do. And that's why he's fantastic.
Jay, did you ever watch like a sitcom in the 90s where like what you watched one week had no bearing and no one seemed to acknowledge what happened in the next week? But there's always one character who like a season later is like, don't you remember when this happened? That's Kevin Owens. It's very random, but we appreciate him for it.
Ever blessed. Do you think we would have Nia versus Raquel? Did I think we would have that? No, but now I think we're going to have that probably next week or the week after. Whenever she wrestles her first match, it'll probably be against Raquel or Chelsea Green, because it would be funny. But it's pretty interesting. That's not something anyone, I don't think, predicted that. No one thought, oh, we all knew that somehow, some way, this main event could have shenanigans. No one thought it'd be Nia Jax. But anyway, so like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, yo, you know what's funny, Jay? I literally just binged Brooklyn Nine-Nine over the past month, and I just finished it yesterday.
You think of it? What did you think of it?
It's a solid B. Like,
I'd say like it goes up, and then sort of peters out a little. It's not bad at the end, but like the rise was a lot better.
Yeah. It's not like, I'm not comparing it to The Office, but like its last season's better than The Office's last season, which I think fell off a cliff.
I love season 9. I did not care for season 8, but I loved season 9.
I don't know the difference. Whichever season they started acknowledging the cameraman as characters, the show sucked. That was bad.
We'll talk about it.
That was the worst thing I ever did. But, but anyway. So the Judgment Day interrupts. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. And they're trying to get Jay to join them, and it's interesting. Is Zoe Stark a face or heel?
We'll talk about it in between.
Somewhere in between. I mean, we can skip around. I don't give a fuck. We don't have to go in order here, but
I think she turned face when she attacked Trish. I know there was some confusion about that because it's Trish, but absolutely she turned face when she faced Trish. The bigger shock is that what's her name? Shayna is probably a face now.
I think this is a temporary thing, because I think they're going to die a death as a face team, but as a heel team, there's potential.
Yeah.
So I don't really think they're faces. I think they're just going to fight heels for a short amount of time and then be heels. But anyway, no, so he's not lost in the show. He's on TV, so that's something. But the Judgment Day interrupt, and basically they try to get Jay to come in again, which was very interesting from last week. But Jay just is like, fuck the nuance. I'm just going to attack the Judgment Day and team up with KO. And then they take on the Judgment Day in a tag match, which was fun match. But ultimately, the random tag team that don't know if they trust each other yet could not beat the tag champs, thank fucking God, because of a miscommunication where Jay super kicked Kevin Owens, and then Finn Balor got the win. Finn Balor not losing a match on Raw. Who would have thought? Genuinely not me. Because he always loses. Finn Balor always loses. So him winning a match on Raw, unheard of out here. So fun match. The right team won. You saw more seeds of doubt. A new potential ally in Kevin Owens now probably doesn't trust Jay. So that does complicate his story, which is a thread throughout the night. And I'm just going to bring it all together now. Judgment Day went up to him backstage and was like, hey, there's still a spot for you here, man. What happens in the ring stays in the ring. It's like, the door's always open. You just got to walk through. And then Drew McIntyre bumped into him later and was like, fuck you, and fuck you. You suck. You're an asshole. I don't care that you're a babyface now. You're a heel forever in my book. And I don't like you. I'll turn heel before I let you fucking gain anyone's trust around here. So there's a lot of threads going on here, and that's the benefit of having Jay. I just hate that he gets this treatment. I like how the story has become so intricate and is now interwoven into the fabric of Monday Night Raw. I just hate that it's Jay. I don't even dislike Jay.
Can I ask why, though?
Nepotism. Like, there's no world in which a twin from a tag team is a main event single star if it wasn't for the insane amount of pull that Roman has amassed over the years. And it's just, it's unearned, but it's not. I will say Jay has stepped up and risen to the occasion, but he didn't earn this. Like, he was handed this.
So,
and then he, you know, he was called up to the big leagues without proving himself, but then he got on base. So, like, you know.
So let me ask you this then, because I get the point, but I'd argue that in a lot of ways, yes, first of all, he would not be in this position if he wasn't Roman's cousin. We agree, not going to argue on that. I don't think anyone could argue that. But Jay was part of a incredibly dominant, probably like a 1A, 1B situation tag team for roughly a decade. I'd say the 1A, 1B would be New Day Usos, right?
I mean, yeah, sure. It took them a long time to get there, but
they got there. And then I'd say that first month feud that he had with Roman could have easily just been, that was it. This is how we get him to be part of the bloodline. But he worked it, he pushed it, people were responding to it, and WWE saw that and they kept pushing it, and it kept getting bigger, and it kept getting better.
No, hold on.
Personally, I think
I don't think you're wrong. I only push back on the fact that WWE noticed that and then continued. They were going to do it regardless. It did not matter how people reacted. Don't put that caveat in there.
No. For me, I think they would have had that 2-month feud. You know, the first one where Jimmy throws in the towel, and then the second one in the Hell in a Cell. I think all that was going to happen, but I think they saw how well Jay did and how the crowd reacted to it, that they kept it in the back burner for later, that they knew they were going to revisit it.
Again, you're saying that they is Roman, and maybe Paul Heyman, if you want to say that as they.
All right, fine.
Is now if Roman said, I want you to bring back The Rock, and I'm going to fight him, and I'm going to hit him with one punch, and then I'm going to pee on him in the middle of the ring, WWE, like, yeah, absolutely, of course, whatever you fucking say, Roman, and then we'll fire him immediately before the match even ends, and then get him the fuck out of there. Whatever you want, Roman, please. Okay, so I don't want to hear that. Okay, look, I simultaneously like Jay, but dislike
how we got Jay.
Yeah.
But I agree, but I think every opportunity that's been handed to him, he's knocked it out.
Yeah, no,
so I'm willing to move past how we got here. Nepotism sucks, but if we're being honest, a lot of the company at this point, Dom only got the position he's in because he's Rey Mysterio's son. Otherwise, he would have been in NXT and he would have never had an opportunity for the Judgment Day stuff.
Well, he's better than his dad ever was. So what the fuck, dude?
Hey, Eddie's amazing.
Sure. I don't want to say anything bad about a dead guy. That's very out of character for me. So, I'm not Christian Cage over here. I'll just talk about how I wish people were dead, like my dad, so that I can enter a feud with Christian Cage. But anyway, I'm also just out on the bloodline entirely right now. I know every time people are like, oh, the bloodline's done, like this isn't good anymore, they have found a way to bring it back. And I disagree with that because it's only the one time, and it was Sami Zayn who brought it back from staleness single-handedly, by the way. And then made Jay also, yeah, a lot of Jay's success this past year is due to the connection with Sami and how that story played out and worked really well. But like, I don't care what happens to the bloodline now. I want Cody to win at Mania, and I never want to deal with the bloodline again. I am not watching Jay versus Jimmy, even if it main events night 1 of Mania. I'm not watching that match. There was literally nothing. If we were getting paid by WWE to cover it, I would not watch it. I don't care about that match. I've seen Jeff Hardy versus Matt Hardy at WrestleMania. That shit fucking sucked. And I'm not even doing that to dig at you. That match was bad.
I didn't like it either. I was there for it. I wasn't crazy about it either.
Yeah, like I don't
It
need
didn't
to
help
see
that
it.
it didn't help that Jeff lost, but yeah, I didn't like
At the time, I thought that was the wrong choice. I was like, what?
it.
I was like, that's weird. But it is just I'm out on the bloodline completely. Like, bro, Nas, I don't know if that's a, you know, I encourage you want us to continue hating or you don't like the hate. I don't know you as a person, but the bloodline is boring, bro. That SummerSlam match, boring. The feud since Mania, boring.
What was the SummerSlam match?
Jay versus Roman, and you can't remember it. That says enough about it.
Ugh.
I
It
remember
was
it,
by
and I didn't
numbers.
like it. But God, I'm so off. Anyway, I don't really care about anything else that happened on the show. That's not true,
No,
but
yeah, no.
we're so far
They
into it. I'm just gonna blow through it. Who writes these notes? God, this is so bad. God, these aren't my notes. That's why I'm saying that. But I don't want to.
It would have been better if they were your notes.
No, because I would have wrote notes that match my style of presenting.
Fair enough.
Miz beat Akira Tozawa. No one cares. Shayna Baszler is interviewed, and Chelsea Green comes in saying, "Oh, I might need a new partner because I don't know if Piper Niven's going to be cleared." And Shayna was like, "Cool, fight me." And then Piper was like, "I'm actually cleared, so give me my title back." And yeah, I agree. Now, the Bloodlines runs course. So yeah, that was fine. So then we get the celebration of Gunther's record-breaking Intercontinental title reign. Now that Cassidy's not the international champion, the best title run in wrestling currently. I love Imperium. I say this every time I review Raw. I love 2/3 of Imperium. No offense to Giovanni
Giovanni
Vinci.
Vinci.
Yeah, great name, but
Yeah.
bland
Better
as
than his
hell.
last name. Better than his last name. His last name was Marcel Bartel. So much
Oh
better.
yeah,
There.
no, yeah, that's not doing anything for me.
Made better by Samantha Irvin.
Yeah, I mean, she really steps it up for Imperium. She nails their ring entrances, but their presence is just Ludwig Kaiser is amazing. I will say this every week. Like, I don't need him to be like world champion or anything, but one day I would like him to be intercontinental champion.
I completely agree. He nails everything. His facial expressions, his movements, his ring work is strong, and he is a good mid-card heel. All right, I'm going to say something. I don't know if this is just crazy or weird or I just pulled it out of nowhere. He is better for Gunther than Aiden English was for Miro. Like as that secondary guy, like what Aiden English brought to Miro to Rusev Day is its own thing. I'm not going to take that away. But as a ring worker, somebody who could stand on his own, I would like Ludwig is like Aiden English plus.
Yeah, no, I think it's very interesting. I don't disagree with it at all. I mean, this is recency bias. I'm very high on Ludwig Kaiser, so I will say that he's better. Absolutely. Just the way he says it, the look on his face when he says anything.
Yeah.
The somehow balance in the line of incredibly strict and serious, but flamboyant body language is unbelievable. It's the point where it's like he's borderline overacting, but he puts in just enough seriousness that it never tips too far over the line for me personally. And I love him. I love what he brings to the table. And obviously Gunther is Gunther. I'm not going to keep singing his praises. Like, we don't need to do that. Like, everyone just knows how great this guy is. So he basically says, hey, all you other champions before me, you did nothing. You did not pave the road. You actually caused a bunch of potholes and fucked it up, which aren't his exact words. I'm adding a lot here. But he basically did what I agree with, and just said that fuck you, champions of the past. All right, I'm living in the present, and I'm the best. And then he was interrupted by Chad Gable, who got, I think, the biggest pop of his career coming out here, interrupting this, and basically said, all right, we had a main event that people were talking about, and that's up there for match of the year for me for WWE at least. Definitely for WWE, it's like top 3 for sure.
Yeah.
Match of the year contender. But he, so he's like, you made my. What are you doing? Get your shit together, Mike. God damn. I'm so sorry, folks. I apologize. I apologize for that. But anyway, he says you made my daughter cry, and he's like, I don't know how, I don't know when, I don't know where, but I will beat you for that title. And Jay, yeah, I mean, that would have been a good retort from Gunther to say that.
I think Jason Jordan could have gotten away with that promo. I don't know if Chad Gable could have.
I mean, where were they? Virginia? Okay, probably not. But anyway, I don't care though, because I want to see Gable win this title so badly. Absolutely. So Gunther actually praises him, which is a little rare because he considers everyone a disgrace and not competition and beneath him. He says, you're an amazing talent. You're a great competitor. It's like, you're a terrible father. And Gable slaps him, and the brawl ensues. And Otis makes a save to another gigantic pop, which isn't too unusual for Otis. But, the numbers game catches up to them again. And then who should make the save? But obviously, you'd think Alpha Academy Imperium feud, you'd think Tommaso Ciampa, guy who hasn't won a match ever since returning, he runs down with the chair and makes the save. And they set up a 6-man tag for later, where I guess Ciampa wants an IC title match, which I believe Everbless brought up earlier, and I just don't think he deserves one. I don't really want to see it, which is a sad world to be in, where I don't want to see a Ciampa versus Gunther match, but I really don't.
They had a great match in NXT.
Yeah, I don't want to see that.
I know we're not going to get the same match again, but yeah, but they did have a great match. But man, I just miss Ciampa. Like, I was always a Ciampa guy. Like, I know everyone was big on Gargano, and I love.
No, I was in those crowds. I was in those crowds, man. They were fucking for Ciampa.
Adam Cole, baby. But I love Ciampa so much. I think he was a great NXT champion. I love that he got his roses, he got his flowers in NXT, because he never got them in Ring of Honor. But man, they're just not doing anything right by him. I know he got hurt on the main roster, but goddamn, the guy is too good to just be doing nothing.
Well, maybe he should have stuck to his word and never gone up to the main roster and just retired if he was going to get called up, like you said he would. But he was arguably, and I think there's only 2 people that give him a run for his money, but I think he was the greatest NXT champion of all time.
Yeah, he's up there. He's definitely up there.
What, him or Finn?
Finn was great. I'd say I think KO is an underrated NXT champion.
No, you could put KO up there too. Yeah, you could put Braun there, Jay, too. I'm not even going to discredit that.
That's fair.
That's a fair. That is a fair choice. But Ciampa main roster, I'm out on, because he just lost way too much. So, I don't want to see it. But if it's just a filler so that Gable can pick up a big win, what I was thinking in my head during the week? I was like, how cool would it be if Gable was talking about how he wants a rematch and how he has to be the one to take the title off Gunther, and then Sheamus interrupts, and they have a #1 contenders match, and Gable fucking wins clean over Sheamus, the guy who one of the people alongside Baron Corbin who set Chad Gable back quite a bit during the Shorty G era.
It's true.
And then Gable got that win. Oh, that'd be so good. And then he goes on to beat Gunther, and then Sheamus goes fucking insane because someone that he deemed not on his level did the thing he couldn't do. And there's so much interesting shit you can do there. But I don't care, as long as we're gonna get Gable versus Gunther again, and Gable is the man to dethrone Gunther. But I'm gonna skip ahead because who gives a fuck? Time isn't real. We had a 6-person tag. It was Imperium versus Alpha Academy plus the bad boy detention getting member of Alpha Academy, I guess, Tommaso Ciampa, versus the alcoholic teacher at Alpha Academy, Tommaso Ciampa. And the babyfaces won. It was a fun match because Imperium.
I love the finish.
I liked it. Oh, loved is a strong word. I mean,
I loved it.
I liked it too. The only reason I wouldn't say loved is because I just don't. I have no interest in Gunther versus Ciampa, which again is sad to say, but
I think it's a momentary thing. I think we're going to get the triple threat, but I don't think we're ever going to get the one-on-one.
I don't want a triple threat. Why? And why Ciampa? Why can't you put someone believable? Which they don't have anyone, but
exactly. Might as well put, like, if you're gonna do it, if you're gonna delay it a little bit, because I can see they want Gable to be the guy to do it. They just don't want to do it like a week after he breaks the record. They probably want to give it another month or so. So have a filler match where you have this triple threat. That way you protect Gable and you protect Gunther's reign, and then you get the one-on-one rematch that Gable finally wins.
Sounds like another loss for Gable, but sure. But the finish was cool. It was Gable getting Giovanni and an ankle lock, and then wrapping the leg, laying down, and as Gunther tried to break it up and crawl into the ring, Ciampa put him in the rings of Saturn, and Gunther just yelled out to Giovanni, still despite being in submission, basically admonishing him and telling him
don't
not to tap out.
Don't you tap.
Which was it was fantastic. It was cool. Aesthetically, it was very, very good. So it was a fun match. I feel like we've said our piece on the direction of the story. Yeah. But you agree, right? Fun match.
Oh, I really enjoyed the match. Gable is having the run of his career right now as a singles guy. And he looked great in this match, taking on basically all of Imperium. Otis is just Otis, who's great, and he's been doing his job for being like the heavy for Gable. And I, as a big Ciampa guy, I'm glad that he's here. If somebody has to fill this spot, I am glad it's Ciampa, a guy who's already had a good match with Gunther and has the chemistry with Gunther to have another good match. So, and again, there is history. DIY and American Alpha definitely wrestled, right? I'm not making that up.
I don't think so. I feel like
did they like just miss each other?
I think so, because I feel like my timing's off because I only remember the Alpha Academy FTR match or rival match. I don't remember DIY Alpha Academy match. So, but we'll figure it out. Someone will Nas will look it up and let us know, I'm sure. But anyway, we'll move on. As God, these notes are bad. So anyway, Drew McIntyre is gonna have a match with Xavier Woods because he threw a chair at him a couple weeks ago, and I guess Woods is like butthurt about that for some reason.
Not even. He's not even upset about. He's not even upset about getting attacked himself. He's upset that Drew
that he didn't believe Kofi.
Yeah, that he was talking shit about Kofi, which is pretty on brand for Xavier and Big E to care more about Kofi than themselves.
That's true. That is true. So they have a match, and they have again another fun match. Xavier Woods wrestles a great singles babyface match. He actually does what Dax does in AEW. Just he does it more under the radar.
Very well.
Yeah, he is fantastic at those types of singles babyface matches, and he always gets the crowd into it. But of course, he wasn't going to beat Drew. Drew's of course going to win this match, but Drew was conflicted. He wasn't upset that he had to do it. He was more upset with Woods for making him have to do it.
Yeah.
Because my man is turning heel to feud with Cody, which hopefully means Cody won't be going to SmackDown just yet.
You think it's Cody? I think it's going to be Seth.
You would think that, but you see, they're not giving Seth any like main eventers to face. They're giving all the big names to Cody. And then what Seth is doing something magical, which is like he's taking guys that have been floundering and restoring their credibility as title contenders and making us want to see them beat him for the title.
Who's next after? So it was Finn. Now it's Knock. Who's next?
God, maybe he could be Ciampa. I don't know. He can probably be Riddle, I guess.
Nah, not after this last weekend. Riddle's not going to be around for a little bit.
You say that, you know. I mean, you get multiple chances, you know.
He wasn't on TV tonight, and he got pulled from this weekend's house shows too.
Yeah, they got to investigate. Actually, no. Now that Vince isn't in charge, you know, maybe it's not. I feel like he's the only guy that
he got fired
no matter what.
He got fired from UFC once. I could see Endeavor making it a twofer.
It's always been part of the deal, but yeah. So Seth has done an amazing thing where he has made his opponents so interesting again after they've been floundering for so long, to the point where I've never once wanted Seth to retain his fucking title. It is insane. And Seth is like my guy. And I've wanted him to lose every title defense. Like, I wanted Balor to beat him so bad. And then he made Nakamura good again. I'm like, yo, give the title to Nakamura. And it's like, whoever comes next, I'm probably going to feel the same way. It is so weird, the line Seth is walking by making his opponents so good that you want to see them beat him, even though he's the babyface and he's beloved. And it makes no sense.
And his promo tonight, he is still endearing him. Like you said, he's beloved. He's still endearing himself to the crowd. It's just they're putting him with these stars that we also love and we know never got a true fair shake. So that's compelling. That's compelling TV.
He's making good villains, and we are known to cheer for villains. So it is unbelievable. Like, I feel like you can do a very small, unimportant psychological study on that because it just makes no sense. I love Seth. I think he's the best in-ring worker in WWE. But then he has restored two characters to the point where I'm like, why did you beat them? They should have won. And it's wild. And not once have I thought about booing Seth. It's just I'm compelled now by these people I thought I've written off as credible.
A very rare both these guys chant, you know, like you don't get it often, but sometimes it's good. And I'd say it works for these Seth feuds. Yeah.
So it is weird, but they're not giving him like top guys to face. Like, so I don't think he's going to get Drew, not until Cody beats him first, especially because Drew last week mentioned Cody by name. So
fair.
He is the one who brought Jay over. So,
but as Nas said, Seth to SmackDown, interesting. I don't think Seth is going to SmackDown, but one of these guys is. It's gonna be
Kevin
Cody.
Owens. It could be like if it's Kevin Owens or Sammy, it's interesting because then Jay has like got rid of one of the potential allies or one of the actual allies he's had, and then that puts a rift between whichever of KO and Sammy is still there.
And I kind of low-key want it to be either Sammy or KO simply because I want that tag team to end, but not in a dramatic way. Just let them go their own way. This will be
in a dramatic way, but not in a way that ends with them fighting. Yeah,
no implosion. No implosion. So, but I also don't want either of them sucked into the bloodline stuff again. I want them on their own.
Well, here's the thing. You just don't want SmackDown, so it doesn't matter if they're doing that or not.
That's fair. Fair. Life lessons here on Raw Rewind. Or Fast Forward.
So, I'm not going to talk about Drew one, I already said. He confronts Jay backstage, which I alluded to earlier. Cody comes out. He's like, hey, what do you guys want to talk? Monsters popped. This crowd was hot all night, surprisingly. They usually dip in the middle of the Raw crowds, understandably. He's like, what do you want to talk about? He's like, I want to talk about main event Jey Uso. And he's immediately interrupted by Dom, who's like, well, I can't interfere later, so I'm going to interfere now. And he's, for some reason, joined by Lord Farquaad himself, J.D. McDonough, which makes no sense. It's never really addressed. And that's why I've written him off. That's why he was the least important part of the stuff we were talking about earlier. But Dom, just amazing heat here. Could not hear a fucking word this guy said.
Yeah.
He's like, we're gonna get Jay, and then you're gonna feel real stupid for bringing him over here, and then blah blah blah. And Cody eventually just punches him and beats them both up because what makes sense to beat Dom up, and JD is lower on the pecking order than Dom, so he gets beat up too. I don't know what the consensus on JD McDonough is, but like I am fine with him in this role. If you want me to take him seriously, I would reject that immediately. So if this is the role he's going to play, I accept that, and then he can slowly win us over time, and then we can try to take him seriously in the future.
I agree. I know we all have our opinions on Dolph, but when they had McDonough debut on the main roster and attack Dolph and like not like just destroy him with the steel steps, I could not suspend my disbelief any more than I did with that feud. Like, it's Dolph, sure, whatever. We know he's the gateway to the main roster, but none of that felt real to me because it's JD McDonough. None of it felt real.
He tried to credibly say, he's like, oh yeah, Dolph's a former world champion. Who better to make a statement? Like,
okay,
literally anyone. Literally anyone else on the show.
Better off with his brother Ryan Nemeth.
Yep. Hope soon to be returning to Collision, Ryan Nemeth, the milkman himself. See, I can make Being the Elite references too. Anyway, Chelsea Green lost to Shayna Baszler because, of course, she did. What kind of world would we be living in if she won? You know. And then Piper Niven attacked her after the match, and Zoe made the save. So that's going to be our next tag title program.
It was very awkward. That whole bit felt very awkward to me. The match itself, those women did not have chemistry at all. And then the segment after, it really looked like Piper didn't know what to do.
Oh, she threw some of the worst punches I've ever seen. She definitely did not know her cue or what. There was some sort of miscommunication along the way.
And then that was Zoe telling her to get out. I want to believe that was just like the character talking to the character. But there's a part of me that it looked like Piper did not know when to leave the ring, and Zoe was actually telling her, you need to get out of the ring.
Yeah, maybe, but I do think it was just her, like, in character telling her. But that's going to be our next tag title program. I can't wait for them to wrestle to freaking crickets because I love Shayna. I'm glad Triple H is trying to revitalize her.
Yeah. The
crowds don't care. And sometimes the crowd does affect my opinion. And when I like someone, but the crowd can't get into it, like, I'm not going to fight that hard to defend them. You know? It's just not an uphill battle. And I wouldn't say, like Jay said, that Zoe's lost in the shuffle earlier, but like to go from wrestling in the main event with Becky Lynch on Raw to the tag division to wrestling to like no reaction is unfortunate.
Yeah.
But I'm not too worried. There's plenty of time. It's going to be a big star, relatively, on the main roster. So I'm not too worried about that. Shinsuke Nakamura. Video package, Seth makes entrance, calls out Shinsuke for a match, but Shinsuke is too busy beating up Ricochet, and they're doing this weird story where Nakamura doesn't want a rematch for some reason, or he wants to wait longer, even though his whole thing is that Seth is hurt, which, by the way, Seth, okay, you're no Orange Cassidy, buddy. Your injuries are probably legit, but the fact that they're just coming out now, okay, buddy, my guy wrestled. My guy's been champion for a fucking year. Wrestling matches, okay, and all of a sudden you're like 5 title defenses in, and all of a sudden you're doing that. Like, I get it, okay, you've wrestled as many matches this year as champion than Roman has in 2 years, but like, let's scale it back there a bit, bud. Anyway, I love the revitalization of Shinsuke, but I'm not as into this now because it just feels I feel like there's no justification for it to really keep going.
Yeah.
Set one really clean. So, whatever. Then we have the aforementioned 6-man tag between Imperium and Alpha Academy Plus. Good stuff. Then we had a contract signing backstage in Adam Pearce's office between Tiffany Stratton and Becky Lynch. I'm excited for that match. I'll probably watch NXT for the first time in a long time tomorrow. I'm very interested to see where it goes. I think you can go either way because there's literally no downside to putting the title on Becky. Anyone who complains otherwise is just like, I want to say stupid, but at best, I'll say biased.
There's a very clear downside here, Danny. It'll prove that Becky is a bigger draw than Charlotte. And why would WWE ever do that? They would never do that to Charlotte.
That's true. Sorry, there's no downside for the fans. There's no downside to that. But because before other things happened, I was thinking I didn't think we'd get this match so soon. I thought maybe Becky would go for Rhea. Stratton would cost her. She would feud with Stratton for a bit. And then they'd go back to the Rhea Becky stuff in Mania. Or I was like, how are they going to do this? It has to spin off. Stratton can't just win clean. Yeah. But she can't just use basic cheating. She can't just grab the tights on a roll up. There's got to be smoke and mirrors here if she's going to win. Best thing John Cena's ever done in his career, sing Cody Rhodes' old theme song. But, they can't just do that. But I was like, you could just have Becky win. There's really no downside, especially because then you could just skyrocket Stratton to the main roster. And I don't see a downside to that either. Literally, anyone can walk up from NXT right now and go to SmackDown and win the title. And I'd be like, good. Because
the world title? The world title?
Any title, really. Literally anyone on SmackDown. US title, sure. Women's title, sure. Roman's title, please. But no, seriously, because what I predicted before Money in the Bank immediately came true. Io should have never won because she's treated like a weak champion. She's an afterthought. And she should have won it cleanly because she'd be looked at more credibly and just, be booked better. So Stratton could literally walk into SmackDown, win that title, and then you could go back to a Becky Stratton feud in the future, and you're just planting seeds, which is the only good thing that Triple H has done with Becky since she took over is planting seeds. He's been planting the Rhea seeds literally since Becky returned from injury with the War Game stuff and the few interactions that just ships passing the night moments. So I'm very interested to see how this turns out and how this spins off into the rest of the year plans for these two. And just, there's so much cool stuff that can come out of this. No downsides. What do you like Tiffany Stratton? I don't know too much about her, honestly.
I've seen a lot of growth from her, so I'm very excited to see her working with somebody of Becky's, I don't want to say caliber, but somebody of Becky's experience. Basically everyone in NXT are just super new, super green, and I don't want to say bad because they're not, but there's a very clear, they're still learning, and that's great. That's what this NXT is supposed to be. But there are obviously the standouts, and Stratton is one of them. And she's done a great job with her character to the point that she was the most logical choice to win the championship down there. And this is definitely going to be the feud of her career right now. I don't fully disagree with that, but I do think Cora Jade was the best option. But she won it. But Roxy won it, and then I think Cora Jade is still in the cards, though. I don't think she's not gonna win it.
I think they missed the boat. I feel like she just has to come up now. I feel like they missed. But I feel like Cora Jade is
Isn't
to
she
the main
still
roster
super
already.
young? Isn't she still super young though?
So
Hold on.
what? Oh, do you want this to be a Tyler Bates situation?
Well, no, but like I think there's an in between. Like I've seen it a lot, and it's why I got so burnt out on NXT in general that WWE just skyrocketed these people from NXT so quickly. They gave them,
And then
I
did
think,
nothing with them.
and then
Yeah.
did nothing with them. And I don't want that to be the case for somebody so young like Cora. Let her spend a little bit of time in NXT, and it won't matter because nobody watches it. Like nobody's paying attention down there, and that's not even a knock. Like nobody's watching it, so let these kids have a run there, and that way when they come to the main roster, it's not like it was when we were watching the Black and Gold brand, where we were actually upset that all these things that happened in NXT weren't regarded on the main roster. Now, none of it matters. The points don't matter. The time doesn't matter. None of it matters. So let her have a little bit of a run there. Let her continue it. Let her continue to refine herself a little bit. Let her enjoy her honeymoon period with Braun Breaker, her boyfriend, and then take her to the main roster. So I don't think there's any reason to rush her. I do agree with you. If it wasn't Stratton, Cora Jade was another person who very could have easily won the NXT Women's Championship. But I'd rather her be a one-time women's champion down the road than a multiple-time women's champion who then just flounders on the main roster. So give her some time.
I don't think she would have floundered. She could come up tomorrow and she'd be right there in the mix of things. But that being said, like I said, I'm excited for this. You know what, the one thing I want from Becky Lynch going down to NXT, I want one segment backstage where she just bumps into some of the like girls on the roster and then just looks at Gigi Dolan and says, "Nice hair."
Yeah, that'd be great.
That's all I want.
That'd be great.
And then also I would like Gigi to win some fucking matches.
Yeah, all would be great.
You know, like, do you want to talk about fucking experience? Okay. I think she's the only person that can say she had a tampon put in her mouth in a match. You know, I feel like that. Don't get me wrong.
Vice versa. She did the putting in.
Sorry. Yeah. I'm sure the tables were turned at least once. Because didn't she do it multiple times?
I think it was her thing for a while. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, who would have thought Joey Ryan would be such a bad influence on wrestling? But you know, I think she deserves something. But anyway, then we have the main event, which was a fun match, but it had a weird return that now that I'm like an hour and a half past it, I'm less excited about it, but I'm still not offended by it. Like it just is what it is. Like I said, something new for Rhea. It's a big name, you know. Not many people have wins over Nia Jax, so that is a feather in someone's cap, regardless of how you feel
that is true
about the person / performer. So, all in all, on a scale of 1 to 6, what'd you give this show?
1 to 6. I'd give it a 3.5, bordering on 4.
Okay, I'd give it a whole. Who do you think the biggest winner, or who do you think the biggest winners from the show were?
Probably Gable and Nia.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Biggest losers?
Raquel for being just an afterthought of an afterthought. And I would not want to be Giovanni Vinci going backstage after having tapped in front of Gunther.
Fair enough. I think you hit the nail on the head. I'm looking back. Like, I'm gonna say the Miz. I feel like I don't need to explain that one. My man.
I think if anything, the winner of the night is Tozawa for having a match on Raw.
Yeah, and for facing a match where if he won, people really wouldn't be that surprised. I mean, he beat the Miz like 2 weeks ago. So, you know.
No, he didn't.
Yeah,
No,
he
he
did.
didn't.
He did.
Cesaro beat Miz a couple of weeks ago.
Of course, everyone beats the Miz.
Oh God.
Literally everyone, except for Ciampa. Ciampa is the one guy who did not get to beat the Miz in the past
Thanks,
year.
Bronson Reed.
But anyway, on that note, I've been Skibbo. That's been just Sant. This has been the Raw Fast Forward. Thank you for watching. Please like the video, comment, say what's up, talk to your friends. You know, don't feed wildlife, but help wildlife if it needs assistance. Be nice to animals. Don't drink and drive. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, not Twitter, Facebook. That's it. Reddit? Did you make a Reddit for us?
Not yet. It's coming.
Okay, so not yet, but it's coming. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night. Quick 5 seconds to say goodbye, James.
I love you all. See you on Thursday.
Sure.